On June 19th, Erika purged her Instagram of a lot of pictures, 126 posts she deleted. And I had wondered what drove that. Why would you delete 126 posts off of your Instagram page?
Erika Kirk was never a stay-at-home wife. She was the...
Erika Kirk didn't just quietly clean up her Instagram. She started removing pieces of her past right as attention began building. And that timing, that's what's making people look twice. At first, it didn't seem like much. A few older posts gone, nothing unusual. But then people started digging deeper, and that's when everything shifted fast. Parents began asking direct questions about children who appeared in her older posts. Not general curiosity, specific concerns. People started tracking timelines, saving screenshots, and focusing on one question that refuses to go away. Where are those kids now?
Run an international project called Romanian Angels where they sponsor an orphanage in Romania. And what they did at that orphanage is so sickening and demonic that I can't even say it online or I'll probably...
As that question spread, more details began resurfacing. Her past connections, her time in Romania, her charity work, pieces that on their own might seem unrelated. But now, according to ongoing online discussions, some are trying to connect them into something bigger. Nothing has been confirmed, but the pattern has people paying close attention. Over the past 30 days, Erika reportedly deleted more than 40 posts as scrutiny intensified. But here's the part that stands out.
Most of the interviews, these women told me stories of being picked up from their home country, recruited in their teens, being groomed, being brought to New York, put in small apartments, given limited...
Deleting something doesn't make it disappear. Once it's online, it's already been seen, saved, and shared. One post in particular keeps coming back. Dated February 2015, it shows Erika on a TV set with the caption, "The perk of playing a young mom TV role, hourly baby rentals." At the time, it may have sounded like a casual behind-the-scenes comment. Now,
that things couldn't be any more suspicious than they already are. Can anybody tell me why I can't find a picture of Erika Kirk pregnant? None. Not one. Not any in her podcast.
That same line is being looked at very differently. One reaction that's been circulating sums up the mood.
Pregnancies because she was never actually pregnant with his kids. Then
it's
you have
a strong
to
statement, but it captures the growing suspicion. Because when posts start disappearing right as questions appear, it doesn't calm things down. It makes people look even closer. As attention around Erika Kirk keeps building, another piece of her past is being pulled back into focus. Her charity work in Romania, and the narratives now forming around it. And this is where things start to split between what's documented and what's being interpreted online.
These ages don't match with the ages of her children. The children shown in this picture appear to be approximately, the boy looks like he's 4 or 5, and the girl looks 3. Publicly available information indicates that Erika and Charlie's kids, definitely the son, is much younger, approximately 1.
Erika founded a nonprofit in 2006 called Everyday Heroes Like You. Through it, she launched a project known as Romanian Angels in Constanța, Romania, aimed at supporting local orphans. On the surface, it was a clear humanitarian effort with a defined mission. One of the main initiatives was a Christmas wishlist program. People in the United States could adopt a child for the holidays by donating gifts. Those donations were then coordinated and delivered with help from U.S. military personnel stationed near a NATO base. At the time, Romanian media coverage between 2011 and 2015 presented these efforts positively, documenting deliveries to hospitals and placement centers with no reported concerns tied to the charity. But this is where the narrative starts to shift. That single word, adopt, has taken on a completely different meaning in online discussions. Some critics have pointed to it and suggested more serious implications. However, based on available information, it referred to gift sponsorship, not legal adoption. There's also an older detail that keeps resurfacing, a 2001 investigation into adoption agencies in Romania. The timeline doesn't directly connect, since Erika's organization began in 2006. Still, some online discussions argue that the system they're referencing may have already existed before her involvement. It's not confirmed, but it adds another layer that keeps people questioning how everything fits together. So the argument being pushed online isn't that Erika was directly involved in earlier cases, but that similar systems could have already been operating in the background before her charity ever entered the picture. It's a subtle claim, but it's one that keeps fueling the speculation. At the same time, Erika has publicly documented multiple trips to Romania between 2012 and 2014. That detail directly challenges claims that she was restricted from traveling there during that same period. And that contradiction? It's one of the reasons people aren't dropping this. Then another layer gets pulled in. Some discussions online reference a 2019 criminal complaint involving a U.S. military official stationed at the same Romanian base connected to her charity work. That case keeps getting mentioned alongside her name, but as of now, there's no confirmed link tying her to it. But the conversation doesn't stop there. There are real documented cases of illegal networks connected to Romania. Investigations have shown that vulnerable individuals were manipulated and moved across borders, including into countries like the UK. Reports describe how victims were controlled through pressure and false promises, while authorities worked to break down those operations. One widely discussed case involves a 26-year-old woman who shared her experience publicly. She said she had been moved across multiple countries, including Hungary, Austria, and Switzerland. According to her account, it began at 16, after being approached by someone she trusted. What followed was a chain of manipulation built on promises of a better life. Before the situation turned into exploitation, these cases are real, but how or if they connect to the current situation remains unconfirmed. And that gap between verified facts and online theory? That's exactly what keeps people watching closely. Even after trying to escape, that same woman said she was pulled back in again, misled, trapped, and only later able to get out with outside help. Stories like that don't just pass by. They stay with people, and they change how everything else is viewed. That's why these cases are now being pulled into the broader conversation. They show that these kinds of networks have existed in the same region tied to Erika's past charity work. But this is where the focus snaps back to the present and the questions people want answered right now. Some parents are reportedly stepping forward, asking about the children who appeared in Erika's older posts. Not vague concerns, direct questions. Who were those children? How are they connected to her work? And where are they today? And here's where the pressure builds. Those posts are no longer visible. When content involving identifiable children disappears without explanation, it naturally raises concern. Because if everything was appropriate and documented at the time, why remove it now? That question isn't fading, it's getting louder. At the same time, Erika hasn't given a detailed public response addressing these specific concerns. Without that clarity, the situation stays open. And when there's no clear explanation, people start filling in the gaps themselves. There's also added attention around claims made by Candace Owens, which continue to circulate online. Erika hasn't publicly addressed those claims in detail. Some observers argue that if the claims were entirely false, a stronger response might have already happened, but that remains unconfirmed. And that uncertainty, it's exactly what's keeping the spotlight locked in. Now the conversation takes another turn, and it's getting more personal. Attention online has shifted toward Erika's family life, with growing focus on her 2 children, a son and a daughter. And some of the theories being shared go even further, questioning details about how they came into her life, even though none of this has been confirmed. One detail that keeps coming up is the limited public timeline around her pregnancies. Aside from an ultrasound image, which some online users have debated, there isn't much widely available content clearly showing that period. For some, that gap stands out, and it's raising more questions than answers. Others are looking at her current lifestyle. She's frequently traveling, appearing in interviews, and staying active in media spaces. That visibility has led some to question how her daily routine is structured around family life and how often she's physically present with her children. It's a question that keeps resurfacing as attention grows. Then the focus narrows even more. The way her children have been presented online is also being analyzed. In most photos, their faces are hidden, which is completely normal for privacy, especially for public figures. But some viewers claim the images don't always appear consistent, pointing out differences in appearance across posts. For example, some have suggested that in certain photos, her son appears older than expected. Whether that observation is accurate or not, it's added another layer to the speculation. And once those kinds of details start circulating, they don't fade. They spread, and they keep the conversation locked in place. At this point, none of these claims have been confirmed. But they're not slowing down. And the reason is clear. There hasn't been a direct, detailed response addressing them. And without that clarity, the speculation doesn't settle. It spreads. On top of that, new theories keep stacking up about her personal life, her family situation, and the inconsistencies
because there's no
some
way
believe
she would
they're
pull
seeing.
that off without
Everything is
him knowing
unfolding at once, and that's exactly why this situation keeps building instead of fading out. Then the shift happens. Once people start lining up timelines, saving screenshots, and comparing details, it stops feeling like random online talk. It turns into something people expect answers to. And right now, the biggest gap is obvious. Those answers still aren't there. No direct responses to the specific questions being asked. So the cycle continues. More digging, more old posts resurfacing, and more attention building around the same core issue. What is actually going on here? That question doesn't fade, it sticks. Because from the outside, people are looking at the same pattern. If everything was harmless, why remove the posts? And if there's more to the story, how much of it hasn't been explained yet? For now, the balance hasn't shifted. There are still more questions than answers. And until
Carly
something
in on
concrete
it.
is addressed, this conversation isn't going anywhere anytime soon.